This is Business Now, coming to you live from iBrandTV News Studio in Lagos, Nigeria. First, the headlines. Federal government makes U-turn, suspends removal of petrol subsidy. Experts say Nigerians' local currency debts will rise to 44 trillion naira in 2022. Kenya lifts ban on all inbound and transit passengers flights from the Middle East. Shippers in the United States set to challenge shipping lines to claw back demurrage fees. Many thanks for joining us. Here are some business stories making headlines at this hour. I am Margaret Opara. The federal government has suspended the proposed removal of petrol subsidy. Speaking during a meeting held at the National Assembly in Abuja, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, affirmed the removal is suspended till further notice. Similarly, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, has revealed the federal government's plan to make additional provisions for fuel subsidy in the 2022 budget. The minister made the disclosures at a session with the President of the Senate, Dr. Ahmad Lawan, and other principal officers of the Red Chamber.
All in search of ways and means of ensuring that ordinary Nigerian does not suffer any hardship, that when the subsidy will be removed, eventually it will be at such a point at which the hardship will be very minimal and would have been taken care of by several programs or projects or empowerments. And it's not about NLC. NLC, how many people are NLC or TUC? We are talking about every Nigerian, and NLC is just an organized part of the system.
It is clear to the blind and audible to the deaf that it is not possible at this time for us to remove the subsidy. We know that some naysayers, some political people will try to make political capital out of it, but it is not within the contemplation now of this administration to remove subsidy.
Practically, there is still heightened inflation, and also removal of subsidy will further worsen the situation, thereby imposing more difficulties on the citizens. And Mr. President clearly does not want to do that. So what we have to do now is to continue with the discussions that we're making in terms of putting in place a number of measures, one of which is the deployment of an alternative to the PMS, which is the CND.
Meanwhile, some members of the civil society organization in Edo State have taken to the street to protest against possible hike in the cost of petroleum products in the country by the federal government. A senior reporter of iBrandTV, Aiboje Ihoria, has details.
The protesters, under the aegis of the People's Alternative Movement led by former Edo State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Osagio Baiwana, commenced their demands from popular Obavaram Square in Benin City against the proposed increase in fuel price and electricity tariff, amongst other issues affecting Nigerians.
This hardship will not just go away unless it is addressed. Yet again, they want to increase the price of petrol. With the security situation the way it is, with the inflation level and this hardship, let's repair our country. As it is right now, Nigerian crude oil is exported in its crude form and brought back in refined products. There are cost components to that. The cost of transporting the crude oil out, refining it over there, and bringing it back. That is why the price level of petroleum in a country like ours, compared to what citizens pay in other OPEC countries, Nigeria's prices are high.
It's a lazy government that always look back to his people anytime they need money. Every government, first of all, looks inwards. You realize that anytime government thinks that they are broke, it is the people they go to. They forget, for instance, that all over the country, there's no governor that earns less than 300 million naira as security vote. They will not touch those security votes. You forget that the overhead of the National Assembly is enough to fund more than the subsidies they're talking about. So every government, they don't look at themselves. They don't look at the wastages that go on in government. Stephen Orosanye had advocated before now that we should merge MDAs of government so that we can reduce wastages.
The group also brandished banners and placards with descriptions such as "Refine Nigeria oil in Nigeria," "End poverty in the country," "No more hardship," "Say no to electricity hike," and "No to pump price of fuel." The group said any further increase in the price of fuel will not only affect the nation's economy negatively, but further impoverish Nigerians.
Today, as I speak to you, the National Executive Council have proposed 302 naira as the rate at which fuel is to be sold. And we are saying no. What this struggle is all about is to create a long line-term campaign to resist hardship. The pain in this country is becoming too much. Today, what you now find is our people are suffering and they are smiling.
Our demands are very clear. We are tired of hardship. We are tired of poverty. We are tired of insecurity.
The protesters have vowed to put the federal government to check until the nation becomes the Nigeria they wish to live in. iBrandTV reporting for iBrandTV News.
Still on petrol subsidy, a legal practitioner has pointed out the need for the federal government to be more transparent and get its politics right in the handling of controversies trailing the petrol subsidy. Jide Ologu, who was a guest on iBrandTV Breakfast Show, has this to say.
We don't have resources to develop functional refineries, and we are building railway line to Niger Republic. So sometimes I sit back and try not to be swept off my feet on still understanding the definition of government as we learned in secondary school. And here we are now. It's so sad. And I want to ask a simple question. Recently, we came up with the Petroleum Industry Act.
Yes.
And we applauded. It's going to do this, it's going to do that.
It will address the challenges in the sector.
NNPC was established April 1, 1977. It's 45 years this year. What has NNPC delivered? So 45 years down the line, towards the end of last year, NNPC was even threatening zero remittance to the Federation account. And that is the major resources we have. There are two types of subsidies. You have the production subsidy, you have the consumption subsidy. Recently, the President of the Senate was worrying and wondering the claim that Nigerians consume 100 million liters of petrol daily. And if that is the claim we have, you can imagine how much the fraudsters, and I repeat, the fraudsters behind the subsidy, how much they make off this nation. The only tool a carpenter has is a hammer. Every challenge in that industry becomes like a nail. And that is what we have with Nigeria now. And a very brilliant question you asked. Let's imagine that in the last 6 years, we've been able to effectively turn around the 4 refineries we have in the country that are state-owned. And we have built at least 5 modular refineries, because it's actually possible to have modular refineries in all the local government areas in the country.
The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, has commended the Central Bank of Nigeria over its recent guidelines on e-evaluator and e-invoicing that replace hard copy final invoice. This was disclosed by the Director General of the Lagos State Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chinyere Almona. LCCI, however, raised crucial questions regarding the subscription fee, time for proper transition, and customer complaints resolution section of the invoice. According to the LCCI, the use of an e-evaluator and e-invoicing will speed up trade operations, increase income through more accurate invoicing, and minimize the time it takes to execute import and export paperwork. Moving on, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and its allies, OPEC Plus, was 122% compliant with its crude production restraint commitments in December, which is up compared with 111% in November. December compliance among OPEC members rose further to 127% compared with 122% in November, while non-OPEC conformity also increased to 114% month from 107% in November. In comparison, an August survey showed OPEC Plus compliance at 111% in December, with the 10 OPEC countries that accepted a quota recording a 121% rate, while their non-OPEC counterparts hit 110% conformity over the period. Now, experts have provided insight into the CBN's monetary policy commitment, or rather committee meeting ongoing in Abuja. The Chief Executive Officer's Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Moda Yusuf, while expressing his expectations on the outcome of the committee, tasked the CBN to do more on the area of foreign exchange management and around the macroeconomic environment.
The major issue with the CBN has been the manner in which the CBN is managing the foreign exchange market. That has always been the issue with the IMF, with the World Bank, and even with some domestic analysts. As far as the CBN is concerned, I think that is a major macroeconomic issue that we are dealing with at the moment. So if there is any engagement around the CBN's role in the macroeconomic environment, I think the bigger engagement will be around the foreign exchange management. In other words, there has been a clamor for a flexible exchange rate regime, which the CBN, for some reasons, has been resisting over time. So if there is a shift in that direction, maybe that may meet some of the requirements or address some of those concerns that have been. And of course, on interest rates, perhaps something can happen, but generally, the domestic issues, the domestic policy environment is a much bigger issue as far as attracting capital is concerned. Unless we address those domestic policy environment, especially around the forex, we may not be able to make much progress as far as capital flows is concerned.
That was next up from our Business Breakfast show. To watch the full episode, kindly visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Still to come, Unilever to cut 1,500 jobs worldwide. Details and more business news after this commercial break.
Powerful looks command respect, they say. The perfect body, the perfect grooming, and ultimately the perfect skin. Looks, style, and grooming makes the ultimate man. I've found a ridiculously easy way to make my skin always feel epic. My name is Neo. I found Blemiviv, and now my skin finally makes sense.
And now business stories on the Africa scene. Travelers from Dubai will be allowed into the country from today after Kenya lifted a ban it had imposed on an in-all-bound transit passenger flight from the Middle East nation 2 weeks ago. Kenya Civil Aviation Authority KCCA Director General Gilbert Kibe said the ban was lifted on Monday midnight, offering a major relief to hundreds of travelers between the two destinations. Kenya had suspended all inbound and transit passenger flights from the United Arab Emirates on January 10 in retaliation against a move by the Dubai to ban all passenger flights from Kenya over fake COVID-19 tests. The ban did not however, affect cargo flights that are normally flown by carriers such as Kenyan Airways and Emirates Airline from the UAE into Kenya. And on the foreign scene, consumer goods giant Unilever has confirmed it will cut about 1,500 jobs globally as part of an overhaul of its management and structure. The mammoth to domestic maker said the 5% cut in the workforce will not affect shop floor jobs in factories. Unilever is under pressure after a failed £50 billion bid for a division of GlaxoSmithKline, and some shareholders have demanded changes. The firm employs more than 6,000 people in its UK and Ireland operations. And more foreign storage shippers in the United States are set to challenge shipping lines to claw back demurrage fees at Los Angeles and Long Beach ports. The cash-rich container lines are facing a backlash from disgruntled shippers ready to turn into courts to test two carriers the responsibility for runaway demurrage fees in the principal gateway ports to the U.S. The issue is expected to move into the courts this year after the Federal Maritime Commission, FMC, which is responsible for regulating the U.S. international ocean transportation system for the benefit of U.S. exporters, importers, and the U.S. consumer, issued new guidelines on the issue of legal challenges on December 28, 2021, with the intention of making it easier for shippers association to challenge lines and to deter unfair and unreasonable conduct by carriers, marine terminal operators, and intermediaries. Meanwhile, European markets dropped sharply on Monday as concerns about military tension between Russia and Ukraine and interest rate rises prompted sell-offs. In London, the FTSE 100 fell more than 2.6%, while exchanges in Germany and France slipped nearly 4%. But shares in the US staged a rebound and closed in positive territory despite falling more than 2% earlier. The swings came ahead of a meeting of the U.S. Central Bank and amid warnings of a potential invasion in Ukraine. NATO on Monday said it was putting forces on standby after Russia deployed some 100,000 troops and heavy armor at the Ukrainian border. Coming up next is entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Business. I am Choma Amaribulam. Stock in Netflix has fallen in value again after the video streaming giant missed on Wall Street forecasts for subscriber growth with its latest earnings report. On Monday, shares in Netflix fell by 10.35 or 2.6% to $387.15 as it added to steep stock price falls since late last week when the global streamer fell short of Wall Street expectations for new subscriber additions. At midday yesterday, shares in the global streamer had tumbled to as low as $351.47 as the tech-heavy Nasdaq market fell by 5% at one point before a sharp recovery in late trading day. A day before its January 20th earnings, Netflix traded at $508.16 at market close. Releasing its fourth quarter earnings on January 20th, Netflix reported 8.3 million new subscribers during its latest financial quarter, which missed on analyst expectations for 8 million in net subscriber growth. Moving on, over the weekend, Sony's comic book adventure became the sixth highest grossing movie in history with $1.69 billion at the global box office. It passed Jurassic World at $1.67 billion and The Lion King at $1.66 billion to secure that spot. Now in its sixth weekend of release, Spider-Man No Way Home returned to the #1 slot in North America, adding $14.1 million between Friday and Sunday, along with $27.7 million overseas. The superhero epic, starring Tom Holland as Marvel's neighborhood web-slinger, opened in December and has generated $721 million at the domestic box office and $970 Outside the United States, where No Way Home ranks as the 4th biggest movie ever, Spidey's latest adventure has done especially well in the UK, amassing $116 million to date. Other top earning territories include Mexico with $73.4 million, South Korea with $60.6 million, and France with $59.9 million. And that's it on entertainment business. I am Choma Amariwulam.
Sports business is up next.
Everton owner Farhad Moshiri has committed another £100 million to the Premier League club after increasing his stake to 94%. The Iranian businessman, who has already spent over £500 million on transfers since his £200 million takeover in 2016, is converting loans from his Blue Heaven holdings into equity. Last February, 100,000 new shares were issued, and he has purchased the final third of those, having already acquired 66% 12 months ago. The move, announced in a letter to fans, provides a much-needed boost to Everton's finances, having posted a combined £265 million loss for the last 3 financial years. It is understood the new money will boost the club's transfer options and stadium projects at Bramley Moor Dock. And still talking sports business, Argentine football giant River Plate have revealed new partnership with Amazon Prime Video, which will see the streaming platform's logo feature on the back of the team's playing shirts and on training apparel. The one-year agreement, which is Amazon Prime Video's first sponsorship deal in Argentina, is worth $2.5 million. Amazon has spent recent years acquiring rights to various sports leagues and competitions across several markets, but its investment in sponsorship has been limited. However, last year, it saw the company become the sleeve sponsor of Italian soccer club Napoli in a deal worth £2 million per season. And finally, on sports business at this hour, Knicks and Rangers owner James Dolan has signed new contracts to remain in his new roles as the executive chair of MSG Sports and the executive chair and CEO of MSG Entertainment in a deal worth a minimum of $26.5 million annually for the roles. The allowance is based on a combination of base salaries and equity grants, with the possibility to earn annual bonuses targeted to be worth no less than 200% of those base salaries. Dolan's pay has been an issue in the past, with an MSG Sports shareholder suing the company and Dolan for excessive compensation in 2019, after Dolan earned more than $75 million over a 3-year period from 2016 to 2018. As MSG Sports executive chairman, Dolan will receive a base salary not less than $1.2 million annually, while as MSG Entertainment executive chairman and CEO, Dolan will receive a base salary not less than $2 million. And that's it on sports business. I'm Samson Oloide.
And at this point, we call it a wrap on business now. For more business stories, kindly visit our website and follow all our social media platforms. Do well to tune in to Star Time channel 143 for more business stories and interesting programs. I am Margaret Opa. Thanks for watching.